From the dawn of human history until now, we've always had to say goodbye. Death is the only certainty we have in life. So it follows that we have always needed to understand it, to confront it, to grieve it. And while our relationship with death has evolved over time, the basic fact remains the same. When we lose someone we love, whether they died 10 minutes ago or 10,000 years ago, nothing can take away the pain. In this series, we explore how humans have coped with death from the beginning, from the first primitive burials to modern-day memorial services. Through it all, we'll uncover surprising commonalities between ancient grief and our own. You might even find that our distant ancestors knew a thing or two about healing broken hearts. Part 1. The First Burials. Let's start at the very beginning. The earliest evidence of grief takes us to caves and burial grounds dating back over 100,000 years. It may surprise you to learn that even Neanderthals, our closest evolutionary cousins, cared enough about the dead to bury them. Archaeologists uncovered Neanderthal graves where bodies were carefully positioned, sometimes with flowers or tools buried alongside them. This wasn't just disposal, it was reverence. Even our ancestors understood that death carried meaning, that it deserved respect. The significance of these early burials suggests that the instinct to mourn predates modern humans. It's a universal human experience. As we come to terms with our own mortality, we can find comfort, knowing that we're part of an unbroken chain that stretches back to the first humans who gazed up at the stars and wondered what lay beyond. Part 2. Egypt. For millennia, ancient Egyptians believed death was not the end. Elaborate mummification, towering pyramids, and carefully inscribed tombs reveal a culture obsessed with the afterlife. While the pharaohs were entombed with unimaginable riches, commoners received more modest burials. Still, every Egyptian knew that death was only a transition. Mummies were preserved to ensure the body's safe passage. Into the afterlife, priests recited prayers and families left offerings of food, clothing, and personal items. Funerary texts, like the Book of the Dead, provided spells and guidance for the deceased. Egyptians believed the soul, or Ka, would reunite with the body after death. To them, grief wasn't about mourning the dead so much as preparing them for their cosmic journey. Funerals were not somber occasions. Instead, they were celebrations of the dead person's life and their imminent journey to the afterlife. To the Egyptians, death was never truly an ending, but a beginning. Part 3. Mesopotamia. In ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, death was taken seriously, very seriously. When a member of the royal family died, the entire nation grieved. Elaborate funerals were held with laments that could last up to 10 days. Professional mourners hired to wail and chant during the funeral procession were considered an essential part of the ceremony. These weren't just for individuals, but entire cities. When disasters struck, like the destruction of a temple or a devastating flood, entire communities gathered to collectively mourn. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the hero's best friend dies, and he journeys to the ends of the earth to find the secret to immortality. Unable to escape death, Gilgamesh returns home forever changed by his journey. He builds the Wall of Uruk and writes down the story of his friend Enkidu, ensuring his friend's memory will live on. Part 4. Greece and Rome. Funerals in ancient Greece and Rome were more than just ceremonies to send off the dead. They were theatrical performances, a way to celebrate the life of the deceased and their impact on the community. The Greeks had elaborate funeral games held in their honor, complete with music, poetry, and athletic competitions. They believed that when someone died, their soul would cross the river Styx into the underworld, guided by the boatman Charon. To ensure a smooth journey, the living would offer gifts to the ferryman. Romans took these customs and added their own flair. They combined funerals with gladiatorial fights and public displays of strength and power. While some saw this as excessive, it was a way for the Romans to turn grief into community drama. For both the Greeks and Romans, death was not an ending, but a chance to remember and perform the rituals that kept their society thriving. Part 5. Why ancient grief still matters. In the end, grief is what makes us human. From the first burials in prehistoric caves to the grand ceremonies in ancient empires, we've always found ways to say goodbye. And in doing so, we've created a legacy of remembrance that spans millennia. By understanding how our ancestors coped with death, we gain insight into our own grieving process. We realize that our feelings of loss and love are timeless, shared by those who came before us. When we honor the dead, we keep the living alive in memory. Whether it's a whispered prayer at a graveside or a story shared at a funeral, we're all connected by the universal language of grief. So the next time you find yourself mourning a loved one, take heart in knowing that you're part of something bigger, something that has endured since the first humans looked to the stars and wondered what lay beyond.